we were all of us concerned how we can really engage our students to read the assigned text. How can we really make sure they read it? What a frustrating situation for us, right? Textbook and so on. So we came out with some interesting strategies. And with our previous speaker, she shared sort of like they applied, the same strategy. The three of us, we decided to integrate a different kind of approach. But of course, we had something in common: how we can engage them, how can we really motivate them to read the material. So we have three instructors who participated: Evelyn Pine, Patricia Jefferson, and myself. Of course, the other two, one of them is teaching right now, and the other couldn't make it, so I'm going to represent them. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to answer the questions about some specific things that they did, but Evelyn, she really wanted to engage her students. She said, engagement encourages not just reading, but better reading. And Patricia, she thought, what about helping them to memorize or retaining the information, particularly for tests? And I tried to integrate becoming aware of their personal experience of reading. I did include, of course, a personal narrative. Not as much like an essay or song, but rather having a conversation about their first encounter with reading when they were children. So Emily, what she did is that she had gathered her students, and they developed goals for the informative and persistent speeches based on specific textbook chapters. So it was more like a homework assignment and an ongoing activity in class. Whereas Patricia, the students had an assignment, class assignment, and they were encouraged to apply a personal strategy to retain information. What really worked for them? To help them to remember the information. And myself, what I did is that I conducted in-class activity, a very long in-class activity, where the students examined their first encounter with reading, and it was a lot of fun because they were so crazy to talk about the first book they read. How was it? And it took a little time. That was something that was surprising for me, that it took more time than what I expected. They were eager to talk. And of course, I shared with them about the learning styles. And they also had a test. They test themselves what learning styles they have. And that awareness, it really helped them to understand certain things about themselves. So then I find out something very important. It's not enough that we know about learning styles and the material that we can use, but gathering information from them about their learning styles, and they should become aware about what learning styles they have. So, and of course, answering questions on the assigned text. I gave them an article. This is what I did. We have an in-class activity that took more time than what I expected. They identified the reading experience, and what they did is that we had this class conversation about their first encounter with reading, and then I told them, I gave them an article to read, and I told them, read it, take some notes, and after that, I invited them to the board and shared with the class how they take notes. What kind of drawings they do, what words they use that make sense to the universe to retain information or interpret the information. And after that, I asked them to share the same thing with their peers next to each other and have this conversation, how they do it. And after that, we had a short lecture about learning styles, and of course, they had a test about their learning style. We had this class discussion. It was very interesting, becoming for them aware of what are the learning styles. And of course, we went back to the article. This is the second time they read the article from a different perspective. I gave them a list of questions, reading with a purpose, asking questions to the text. Basic questions like what's the main argument of the author, what examples he or she uses, what is he or his conclusion, and so on. But another extra question, beyond the text, while you're reading this article, what other topics you would like to explore. What questions do you have that you don't find it in the text? And that really motivated them to have a class discussion. Suddenly they became so interested in reading other articles related to that text. And of course we had class discussion and we have a class evaluation. What worked for them and what didn't work, of course. Evelyn, on the other hand, she got this homework assignment in an ongoing working class. And 25 students were participated, that's what she gave me. And of course, there were really interesting results that I will share with you later on. Patricia gave them this article about immigrating to Argentina, and she gave them this list of questions about what technique they apply, the personal technique to memorize the information. Evelyn, she says that the results were that they did better speeches. And another interesting result is that all read the chapters. So guiding the students with the specific questions and the specific assignments, they're going to lead them to the next step, which was delivering a speech. You really motivate them to read the material. On the other hand, Patricia got this result. It was useful for them. They noticed that repetition worked for them. They also mentioned the learning style. So some of the students were aware about their learning style, which was not part of Patricia's assignment to discuss about that. In some other ones, they said they needed more time. And of course, other ones says, well, memorizing is easier than analyzing. Mm-hmm. And in my case, most of the students, that's how they ended up. And teachers too. Most of the students found the experience interesting and informative. That's what they shared with me. Some got distracted with exploring other topics that were not in the text. Suddenly they were like, oh, and on. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're talking about this topic. I was like, oh, I didn't make sure that, so I have to monitor the time and so on. If you express that taking notes help them to remember the information that they plan to use more colors with taking notes. They became aware of their learning styles. Like some of them, they shared that, oh my God, when I'm reading an article, particularly the one who learned doing, that they will read something and then they will go and do something else and then come back and continue reading. So becoming aware of that allowed them not to make themselves wrong because they are not following certain steps on how to read or how good readers they are. Because, so it really helped a little bit their self-esteem, their self-understanding. So that was helpful, but of course there are other things that came out. Evelyn, she said that she would like to integrate that as part of her syllabus and grade that particular assignment. Patricia also said that she would like to include that in the future because Patricia activity was not mandatory, which means that not everybody participated. And she said, I can see that the students who participate are usually the very good students. That's what she said. So in the future, she would like to integrate that also as part of her syllabus and evaluate the results. I'm also planning the same thing. I would like to include that as the beginning of the semester. I see the importance of providing that information to the students, giving access of empowerment. They own it, you know, the experience of reading, and be able to use the language throughout the semester. Like, of course, for my visual learners, for my tactile learners, how we're gonna do it today. So that's what I got out of this experience, the three of us, the importance of integrating a new activity in our classes so the students feel more engaged, more motivated. However, there are other things that we noticed. We noticed that some students didn't really participate much. Particularly the students who don't have so much basic skills. And that's, of course, will require a different kind of a strategy. However, that's what one of the instructors shared with me. The fact that we did that activity at least invite them to reflect. Perhaps there are no visible results, but at least, you know, they question it. They didn't participate as much. So I use this particular book that I really recommend you. Is the Reading for Understanding. Very helpful. And of course, some knowledge about learning and teaching styles and so on. So, any questions? The instructors are not here, but I could answer many questions. So, conclusion, the three of us are going to have that as part of our syllabus for next semester.
That's great. Could you put that last slide up again? The resources?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Mariella, it was really helpful to hear how different people approached it.
Yes.
Like some of the concrete things about how people approached it. It was really helpful.
Yes, and it's also very interesting to see that we did different things to motivate them. And one thing that I really find it valuable is that each of us have our own way, our creative way to engage our students. And it will be interesting to also conduct another big evaluating teachers' organic way, creative way to engage our students. Because there's not only this wonderful material from theorists, but there's also the material we're really organically evolving in our classrooms. So, yes. Anyway, I really recommend the first one. I've been using it very much for different classes, and we did it with Sandy and Julianne. So,
I have a copy of that, and I think it's behind that board on the bookshelf, coincidentally. And I think it was intended.
it was intended. It was intended.
It was written for younger students, maybe, but it has.
Here?
I don't know. Is it not there?
No, but
Anyway,
we can do
I
it
have
in the
a copy
break,
if
so
anybody
maybe
wants to
people
borrow it.
can review it. Anyway, so yes.
So there's a reading video that was done at Chabot College about reading.
Yes.
Did you take a look at that at all?
I hear about that, yes, about that.
So they basically interviewed a ton of students about what happens when they read, and a lot of them are like, I don't read, or they stop, or they don't come to class, and all these other kinds of things. So it was really, that's a very interesting kind of starting point for having this conversation, but it seems like something that probably could be addressed across the campus, right? That there's a lot of different people who struggle with having students read or having them not read. So maybe that's a way, something we could do through the Teaching and Learning Center. I don't know.
Something that, of course, we have in common with my previous peers is the importance of this personal narrative, engaging your students, and rather than just being another student more in the classroom, but really allowing them to have access of empowering themselves, become invisible with their voices. So that's something that we did also, sharing their personal narrative.
Yeah, and I like what you say, even though some students did not participate, like you said, there was this invitation, and sometimes we have to continue to invite, because it's eventually, you know, this.
And I think that if most of us include certain activities that will engage the students, at some point those students who do not have basic skill might start, becoming more aware and developing their strategies to be engaged with reading and studying and so on.